All right, the name of this trick is I Read Your Mind. With all magic tricks, you don't want to tell people the name of the trick, but you can tell them what you're going to do. And in this trick, you need what's called a confederate. A confederate is a person who knows the secret, works with you, but the audience does not know that they know. And so in this case, I'd recruit my good friend Joe, and beforehand, I would tell Joe how it works. And then what we would do is I'd ask Joe to step outside the room along with a trusted member of the audience to make sure he doesn't cheat. I would then get someone from the audience to come up and touch one of the items that we're going to be thinking about. And when he comes back in the room, we're all going to think about that one item, and then he's going to be able to know which one it is. When he comes back in the room, let's say that the deck of cards was the item that was chosen. You can do this with things on a table, or you can do it with anything in the whole room. You can do it talking or not talking. And sometimes I think if you do it without saying a word, then it really does confuse people. And this is one of those that will drive grown-ups crazy, because they want to try. They would get you to do it again. And the second time you do it, it'll blow their mind because it won't be the same. So here's what we do. So I'll bring Joe back in. Joe comes back into the room. Hey Joe, how are you?
Oh, great.
Now, Joe, I'm not gonna say anything. I'm just gonna touch different items. When we get to the item that you think is the one that we're all thinking about,
Okay.
then you just tell me that that's the one. So Joe?
No. Nope. No. Yeah, I think that's it.
That's it. Now, the next time you do it, you'll do something a little bit different, and people think they know how it's done. They think, well, maybe it's the fifth item that you touch, or maybe you touch it in a different place, and so they're going to watch you really closely. But the next time we choose an item, let's say this time we choose the brochure, we'll do it. And so Joe, is this the item?
No. Yes.
And right away he knows. The secret here is that right before you touch the item that they chose, you touch something red. You have to make sure there are two items that are red. In this case, there's a red crayon and a red cup. But you touch something red, and then the next item you touch is that item. And again, grown-ups will try to figure this out. They'll try to think, well, you're saying something different, you're making eye contact, you're winking at them, you're touching with a different finger. But the more they watch you, the more confused they'll be. And it's just a lot of fun for two magicians, to fool an entire audience.
All right, this is the explanation for the torn and restored napkin. So you need a napkin, which you show to the audience. This is just a dinner napkin. You're going to tear it carefully down the middle and show that you've torn it once, so you have two pieces. If you tear it twice, you have 4 pieces. If you tear it 3 times, you have 8 pieces. If you tear it 4 times, you have 16 pieces. And you don't tear it anymore. You just take all of those pieces and squeeze them together in your hand. Snap your fingers, add a little bit of wiffle dust from your pocket, sprinkle it on top, and the magic happens. And those torn pieces suddenly put themselves right back together. That is the torn and restored napkin. So how does that work? Well, you need 2 napkins. So you start with one sort of wadded up in advance. I like to hold it by the corners, stretch it out that way, fold it so the corners are not quite even, but close. And then from the bottom, I like to wad that up. And this is the secret napkin, and I hold that just in my fingers, so they can't really see it. Don't squeeze it tight, just relax your hand, hold that in your curled fingers, so you can see. You're hiding there. Then you need another napkin. This is the napkin that you're actually going to tear. And so while I'm holding this extra piece in my hand, I'll just open this up and show it around and gesture naturally. I'm going to tear. I'm looking for the grain of the paper to see that it's going to tear straight. So I've torn it once, and there's in 2 pieces. Then tear it again. So now there's 4. One more time. 8. One more time makes 16, and all the while I'm keeping this extra piece hidden in my hand. I'm just tearing up here at my fingertips. As I make the joke about not wanting to tear the 16 pieces again, I'm going to reach inside my hand and squeeze those pieces together. So now I've got the torn pieces in the front and the whole piece in the back. So I show this hand empty to my audience. As I reach forward and squeeze those pieces, the whole piece is now on top, the restoration piece. So I squeeze, say, I need some wiffle dust from my pocket. I take the torn pieces into my pocket, leave them there, pretend to take out some wiffle dust, which I sprinkle over here, cause the magic to happen, blow on it or say a magic word or snap your fingers. Then you take those corners and pull, and it appears that those pieces have restored themselves, and that is the torn and restored napkin. All right, this is the explanation for stepping through a hole in a piece of paper, walking through a piece of paper. We have done this with an index card, or you may have learned it or seen it with a piece of typing paper or copy paper. For this, you're going to take your paper and fold it in half. And I like to use index cards because the lines are on there and it makes it easy to do what comes next. On the folded end, you're going to cut inward from the folded end on that line, not all the way to the end. Not all the way to the end. So there, let's skip a line and go in, skip a line and go in. So you can see how that works. And then on the other end, the open end, you're going to cut in between those sections. So part way down there, part way down there. Don't worry about it on the very outside sections. Those have to stay together. Here's what's going to happen now is these parts in the middle on the folded end, all the ones in the center, not the last two, but the ones in the middle, you're going to cut those open. So you go through here, cut that, that. This last one. So you're careful to cut those open in the middle, but not these outer two ends. What happens when you've done that is you can now open up this piece of paper and you've got this loop that has been formed that if you cut the strips small enough, or if you use it on a piece of typing paper and cut narrow strips, this will be large enough that you can actually put your entire body through and walk through a piece of paper. Walking through a piece of paper. This is an explanation for a penetration effect using a pencil and a piece of string or ribbon. You can just put that piece of string right on to the pencil. We'll wrap it around that way a couple of times, and we'll wrap it around that way a couple of times. And your friends can hold on to the either side of that pencil. But if you pull, it pulls right off. Let me do that again so you can see close up what it looks like. Well, a couple of times that way, a couple of times that way, and it pulls right off of the pencil. So what's going on? Well, it really is in there, but the view from your side is that is hanging over, and you've got a strand that's close to you and a strand that's far away from you. Well, that strand that's far away, I angle it a little bit to my right. With my left thumb, I hold the string on the pencil. I'm going to wrap twice, 1, 2, and then with my right thumb, I'm going to hold all 3 of those loops there and take the piece on the left and wrap 3 times, 1, 2, 3 on that side. And that has unwrapped the 2 that I put in there, plus the one that we started with when it was inside. So it is completely loose from the string now. So I can pull straight down and that will come off of the string. It'll penetrate through the pencil. So it looks, you can see it one more time. There it is, it's on there once, twice, 3 times that way, right? And I'm gonna hold all those in place and go 1, 2, 3, and then pull straight down and it penetrates right through. And that is the Houdini pencil escape.
All right, for this one, you'll need a volunteer. You need a helper from the audience. And Joe, how are you? Good to see you. Now, we have not set this up before.
We have not.
Absolutely not. Here's what we're going to do. I'm going to try to read your mind.
Okay.
Using these 4 crayons.
Okay.
So if you would take these 4 crayons, and I'm going to turn my back.
Mm-hmm.
When I turn my back, I want you to choose one of those crayons, place that crayon in my hand, put the others behind your back. And what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to read your mind and figure out which crayon you get.
Okay, so I'm going to show the camera. So you look away.
All right.
So this is the one I'm going to give him. That right in your hand. And the others are now behind my back.
Okay, very good. All right, now here's what we're going to do. I'm going to try to read your mind. I want you to think of the color that you gave me. Concentrate on it. Now, I don't know if this is your favorite color or not, but I'm getting a clear impression that green is the color you gave me.
That was the one I gave you.
That is the one. Very good. Very good. All right. You can do this multiple times. Here's the secret. Here's the secret. When you have that crayon behind your back, you want to turn your body so that you're facing the audience, but not completely straight on. So you turn it just like this. That way he can't see what's behind you and the audience can't see what's behind you. And here's what you do. Am I lined up here?
Yep.
You scribble on your thumbnail with that crayon. And then what you'll do is you hold your hand up to him, but this is what you're seeing, is that green on your thumbnail. And so you'll know that's the color that he gave you. You hold it like this, right up to their head, like you're catching their thought waves, and you concentrate for a moment, and then you say, I believe you gave me green. A couple of things you don't want to do. You don't want to watch your thumb all the way from the bottom till you get it up here, because that gives it away. It'll still be there. All you have to do is raise your hand up like this and then just look at your thumb. Second thing that you don't want to do is when you make that mark behind your back, you don't want to move your arm a lot. You don't have to do that. Just wiggle it back and forth right across your thumbnail. And then after you've done the trick, just wipe it right off your thumbnail and it will almost all go away. And then you can do it again with a different color, or even if they try to trick you and give you the same color, you'll know which one they gave you.